What's going on, everybody? This is Clint with the Die Hard MMA podcast. This podcast was filmed exclusively for odds.com. Be sure to click the link below. Check it out. We've got everything that you need over there. We've got you covered for every sport. Thank you so much for the support and good luck on all your action this week. We are kicking off the night. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure where this fight goes in the order, so I want to just preface that. One that was added late to the card, Rafael Alves and Pat Sabatini. Now, I always put the ones that are, late notice additions at the bottom of my page just so I make sure I don't forget to hit them later because I try to go in the order of the card. Not sure where this one lands, but it's a featherweight fight. Rafael Alves 19-9. Pat Sabatini comes in here 13-3. And Rafael is a guy that I attempted to fade in his Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series fight. This guy is in ridiculous shape. He's crazy explosive, wild striking, spinning attacks. He's got that fight-ending power. He can catch somebody and put them out at any point in time throughout the night. And that's something that just never fails to bail him out sometimes. He's also pretty good at jiu-jitsu. He's got a tight squeeze on him, but he has 6 losses by submission. It's one of those things where if he slows down, if he gasses out and he's facing someone that's got those grappling chops, that's where he tends to struggle. And that's why I tried to get on the other side of him and fade the hype while he was on the Contender Series. Pat, on the flip side of this thing, comes to the UFC making his debut from the Cage Fury Fighting Championship. He was the champion over there before making the move here. And he's pretty aggressive. He likes to come forward. He switches his stance, so you never know where the attacks are coming from. He's got fast, heavy hands, good leg kicks, and a big power right hand. His timing on his level changes, I think, is the thing that stood out to me the most, though. Really strong wrestler, really strong grappler, BJJ black belt. He likes to attack with front chokes, Kimuras, and he's got 9 wins himself by submission. So this is kind of the perfect storm of the guy that I would look to fade Rafael Alves with. The only problem is I'm not sure if he's UFC caliber yet. I don't know if I want to just line up to fade Alves here. He's fought some decent competition, but nothing to write home about. Do you have any feel or any read on this card? How do you like this one?
This is another one. Well, I shouldn't say another one. This is the first fight we're breaking down, but this is one of those fights that I looked at the other day. And by the way, the order has flipped because when I broke down this card, I agree with you. They have this as the first fight of the night now in Topology. Yesterday when I was on here, I forget which fight it was. I think it was Drakkar Klose and Luis Pena they had as the first fight. So they switched things around. I'm sure it is this fight. But to answer your question, this is one I had a tougher read on. Both are going to be making their debut. Obviously, Alves, coming off Contender Series. Sabatini's a guy I've heard about for a while. And one of the things I will say is Cage Fury Fighting Championships. That's one of the better regional promotions up there. You're not getting any easy fights. And for the most part, Pat Sabatini has been a guy that I was expecting to make the UFC at some point. You look at his losses, right? The James Gonzalez fight, that was an arm injury loss. So, can't look too much at that. The fight with Jose Mariscal, who, by the way, is a former training partner of TJ Dillashaw, was a split decision loss. So that's one that could have gone either way. In general, this is a guy that's done quite well. His third pro fight, he lost to Robert Watley. Watley, if you look at his record, pretty outstanding. What I'm looking at here when I look at Sabatini is a guy who has been battle tested. And when you've got 16 fights, there's one fighter on the card I'm going to talk about a little bit later who I'm like, I don't know how they're in the UFC, but in terms of experience. But Pat Sabatini, 16 fights and getting signed to the UFC as a prospect, that's a good look there. And you're fighting someone in Alves who's one of 2 fighters, I think, from MMA Masters on this card. That's where he trains. Danny Chavez being the other one. And you look at the 2 fighters here. I mean, both of them like to finish, right? You saw a finish with the guillotine choke for Alves on Contender Series. The fight before that was a knockout. The fight before that was a submission win. Pat Sabatini, same sort of thing. He's a finisher as well. So this is one of those cases where the fight looks so close on paper that I would almost, give a slight edge from a betting perspective to the dog, depending on how the odds shake out here. I'm seeing the line right now at Pat Sabatini about plus 165. I think there's some value there. I'm going to pick Alves just because, again, we have sort of more to look at in terms of the paper, in terms of seeing, what he can bring to the table. I think Alves would get a slight edge there, but this is one of those fights where when it's so close, I would almost lean the dog in the case if you're going to bet it. So I would say bet Sabatini, but Alves will be my pick in this one.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing is you guys know me. I'm a value hunter. If there's a wide line, I want to take the dog. I always want to get on the side of the value. And I'm looking hard at Pat Sabatini, but I hate betting UFC debutantes. I hate betting people who are taking that very first step up into competition and into the UFC realm. It's not something I'm a fan of backing. So on this one, it's probably going to end up being a fireball and popcorn fight where we just sit back, get a drink, get a snack, enjoy this one. It should be an intense, high-paced fight, and I'm going to enjoy it. but I'm probably not going to pull that trigger just because that's something I am trying to be a little bit more disciplined on this year. So I like that we kind of agree there, James, and I just don't want to be caught with my pants down and have Rafael Alves get me again.
Absolutely. No, and you bring up a good point. Everyone's different when it comes to making their UFC debut. Some of them can handle the bright lights, some can't. We've seen some really bad performances. Actually, someone that I just interviewed recently, Sabina Mazo, just brought me to her debut. Remember, she had a lot of hype going in, fought Marina Moroz, ended up losing pretty badly in that one. And that's someone that had a lot of good fights on the regional scene. So you never know, right? And I think that's a good sort of error of, sort of word of caution when it comes to betting two UFC debutantes in this case.
Yeah, exactly. It just complete stay away. We gotta see what these guys have. See what they bring to the table. Yeah, for sure.